Hello and welcome to Run Testers. My name's Nick. In this video, we're going to be comparing the Nike Vomero 17 and the Nike Invincible 3. The Vomero 17 and the Invincible 3 are both cushion shoes within Nike's range. They've both got some ZoomX foam in the midsole and they're geared towards easy and long runs, but they feel quite different on the run, and we're going to compare the two of them today to see which might suit you a little bit better. The Vomero is a cheaper shoe, at least in the US. We've only got the US price so far. It's $160, whereas the Invincible is $180 and it's £170. The Vomero is slightly lighter as well. It's 303 grams or 10.7 ounces, whereas the Invincible is 316 grams or 11.1 ounces. That's both in my UK size 9, which is a US 10. The Vomero has a drop of 10 millimeters, whereas the Invincible drop is 9 millimeters. Both have stack heights at the heel of around 40 millimeters, so it's fair to say these are big cushioned shoes. The Vomero 17 has an engineered mesh upper with a nice amount of padding at the back, a dual density midsole, where the top layer is Nike ZoomX foam, the PIBA foam that's used on things like the Vaporfly, very bouncy, very light, and underneath that is a layer of Cushlon 3.0 EVA foam. And you've got a waffle tread outsole with pretty full coverage, just a little gap at the back there, and it's quite a thick layer of foam as well, so it should be nice and durable. The Nike Invincible 3 has a fly-knit upper. It's had some changes since the previous version of the shoe. The cushioning around the heel is slightly differently done, which creates a slightly looser fit at the heel, I found to my cost in my testing of the shoe, but it's still pretty well padded around the heel and tongue there. You've got a heel clip that's partially embedded into the midsole foam. It was more visible on previous versions of the Invincible, and this is designed to create stability, as is the very wide design of the shoe, because it's a big high-stack shoe of soft foam, and Nike wanted to make sure it was still quite stable. As I mentioned, it's a soft foam, it's ZoomX, and it's all ZoomX in the Invincible. That's the key selling point of this shoe. It's got an entirely ZoomX midsole, so bouncy, soft stuff, no kind of plate or other foams in there to firm it up at all. And then you've also got a waffle tread outsole, full coverage on the Invincible 3. It looks like the lugs are slightly smaller than the ones on the Vomero 17, but overall probably quite a similar outsole experience.
Fit then, I ran in my regular UK 8.5 shoe size in both of these shoes. The Vomero fit well, it was good heel hold from the plush heel collars, quite supportive overall with fairly structured enclosing and dense uppers, and there's just about enough room in the toe box, and they're pretty reliable on comfort overall at my regular size, so I'd recommend going true to size in those. The Invincible fit was a little bit more questionable for me. I had quite a bit of heel slipping and I found it really hard to get a good secure fit without really lashing the laces down almost to the point where they were uncomfortably tight across the midfoot. That was a little bit of a problem for me. Overall, the fit on the foot though was spacious, roomy toe box, but not as locked down as I'd like, not as maybe hugging as the Vomero. And for the Invincible, I'd maybe personally consider dropping down half a size, though you want to check that out for sure. I was sort of torn between them.
When it comes to the fit of the two shoes, I've got my normal sizes here, which is a UK 9. With Nike, that translates to a US 10, which is the same size I have of all Nike shoes. Both of these have fit me well for length in my normal running shoe size. I had no problems at all with the Vomero's fit. I do find the upper runs a little bit warm. It's quite oppressive if you're running in the heat, but that's not that often for me in the UK, and it hasn't really been a problem even on hot days. But yeah, it's a slightly more noticeable upper in that sense than the Invincible 3. Problem I've had with the Invincible 3 is it's a slight bit of heel slippage at the back. It's not been really bad with the shoe. I know that other people have had that problem a lot more with it, and it's something to look out for, but overall I've had a pretty good fit with the Invincible 3, even if I did probably prefer the fit of the Invincible 2. And I certainly say with both shoes to stick to your normal running shoe size and your normal Nike size. They fit me fine. So we had the Invincible 3 in to test first, and I've been a pretty big fan of the Invincible 1 and 2. I thought they were quite fun shoes. They were great for rolling around easy runs, very bouncy as you'd expect. I found that I've lost a little bit of that fun with the Invincible 3. In general, I found the shoe a little bit of disappointment. It's gained a little bit of weight. The ride seems to have lost a little bit of the bounce and fun it had in previous versions without really making it much more stable. It's certainly still a wobbly shoe, which is a problem I've had with all 3 editions of the line, but almost with the Invincible 1 and 2, the little bit of wobbliness at times was worth it for the days when I was feeling good and could just bounce through the runs thanks to that exciting midsole. With the 3, like I say, I think I've lost a bit of that fun and the instability remains. And during my testing of the shoe, I did find it was just a bit too unstable at times for me to go out and do long runs in. I was managing some small niggles and just didn't feel the shoe at all to do that in. And I just didn't feel that comfortable going out in it for easy runs. Just for the times, like it places strain on the body in slightly unusual ways. But when I am all fine, running well, short runs. It is still quite a fun shoe. It's probably a little bit more fun than the Vomero in many ways because you are getting a little bit of extra bounce. It's got a much softer feel underfoot. I've picked up the pace in it a couple of times, and you can do that because ZoomX is such a good foam, but overall, you lose a little bit of the direction in the transition in the shoe because it is so mushy underfoot, and it's best really just for those easy runs. The changes Nike's made just hasn't really suited me with this shoe. Like I said, it's a bit heavier, not quite as fun, and doesn't really fix the instability problem that we've had with this shoe at some points. The Vomero 17 is the first Vomero I've tested actually, so I can't really comment on previous versions, but I have enjoyed using this current version. The midsole is less soft than the all ZoomX foam on the Invincible 3, but it definitely feels more stable and balanced as a result. It feels a bit more normal, and actually it is still soft and comfortable underfoot, but does feel like you can certainly rely on it a bit more. It's not unstable at all, and you still get a little bit of life from that ZoomX foam, a little bit of bounce and softness. It's also got a little bit of versatility if you up the pace. This is still a shoe I would definitely say is best for easy and long runs, but it can, go through the paces a little bit if you progress the pace over the course of a run. It's a reasonable daily training option if you like a nice cushion shoe, whereas the Invincible 3 in particular, I do feel fits much more as a cushion shoe and a cushion shoe alone. So the Vomero might have that little bit of extra versatility if you are looking for that. I'd say the Vomero has more of a snappy, flatter ride if you do try and push the pace in it compared to the Invincible, which has a little bit more of a rocker. And when I was running in both shoes at the same time, it is quite a noticeably different ride. You get a bit more snap through on the Vomero, but it still feels very comfortable and cushioned because of the amount of foam underneath the foot and the fact it's that ZoomX foam. Invincible is a little bit smoother, but also quite mushy, and it doesn't really pop you off your toes very much, doesn't really move you onto your toes that quickly. Get a little bit more of that with the Vomero, which helps with versatility and just helps with the ride feeling a little bit more normal and balanced, and just okay, you can almost forget about the shoe a bit more. The Invincible, I'm much more aware of it on the run because of how soft it is underfoot, and not always in a great way.
Now for my run test, I've done more than 30 miles in the Nike Invincible 3, including a bunch of mixed pace 10Ks, a 1.5 hour easy run, and some faster efforts to find out how they are at the top pace. And the Vomero, I've logged about 50 kilometres, mostly easy miles and some faster miles pushing tempo pace. That's been mainly on road with some light park and river paths thrown in for both of those shoes. Now the top line here for me, both of these shoes definitely perform better on the slower, easier recovery miles than the faster efforts. And I don't have either of them down as serious options for up-tempo running at all. But for me, the Vomero is considerably better equipped to handle the faster stuff than the bulky Invincible. And that's despite the Invincible's slightly higher stack of ZoomX foam. Now why that's the case? Well, the Invincible for me are noticeably heavier on the foot. They also feel much wider. And that base, though it's there to help bring better stability, I really find that midsole geometry with that super wide platform and it's almost sort of weird hexagonal forefoot, really clunky and cumbersome. You notice it the minute you lace them up. These are a shoe that don't disappear on the foot, and it creates a bit of a slappy, sloppy ride at times when I'm running in them. And the heel and the forefoot, for me, sometimes felt disconnected, almost like you're running in two shoes. It's almost like you're waiting for the other half to come with you. So they're bringing this big, plush, pillowy, cushioned feel overall, and you might like that. But for me, it's overbaked, and it interferes more than I'd like with my run. I like my shoes to feel a bit more disappearing, a bit more natural. And by comparison, the Vomero 17, I think offers that more natural ride. It's also much more agile, more nimble, and though by no means is this a disappearing shoe on the foot, it definitely feels less cumbersome overall than the Invincible. You still get soft landings as well from the Vomero 17. They sink a little to soak up the ground, but there's a liveliness and a return that comes back just at the right time. While that Cushlon 3.0 layer, I think, helps keep things still nicely stable as well, so you've got that for them too. Now the first thing I want in a pair of easy shoes is a shoe that I can forget that I'm wearing. I want to be able to clip along happily with some cushion and protection, but I don't want to feel bogged down or weighed down. And for me, the Vomero 17 do that much better than the Invincible. Verdict then, if I'm picking one of these shoes, not going to be a surprise here. Out of these two plodders, it's a no-brainer for me. It's the Vomero 17 all day. It's simply a more natural ride. It still offers cushioning and protection and decent stability, but I think without the heft of the Invincible. And it's cheaper too, which is a bonus. Now the Invincible is a shoe that I think lots of people might enjoy for soaking up those big, slow, easy miles. If you like running with pillows on your feet, massive cushioning, these are going to be for you. And some fans of monster shoes might even find there's enough spring and response for more up-tempo miles too. But if you prefer your shoes a bit more stripped back, the Invincible's muscled up Hulk probably isn't going to be for you. And the Vomero 17, for me anyway, in that sort of, when you're weighing up those two things, will be a better option. The Vomero 17 isn't the most versatile daily trainer out there for sure, but for me it's got much better range than Invincible, and I'd be picking it up for a tempo run every time over the Invincible. I also think it's much better at the easy paces too, so that's why I've got it as the winner here. But if you're thinking beyond these two shoes, you might also want to consider things like the Asics Gel Nimbus 25, which is still maximal and soft, but it's a bit more streamlined and versatile than the Invincible. For something even more streamlined, check out the likes of the On Cloud Surfer 7 or the Puma Velocity Nitro 2. These are two good daily trainers that cope well at a range of paces. There's not quite as much cushioning there overall, but they do work a little bit faster at the faster paces, I think. And I think both of those will come in cheaper or around the same price as well.
So for my verdict, I'd say the Vomero is the better shoe to go and pick up. You've got a little bit more stability. It is still very soft and comfortable, and it has got maybe a little bit more versatility than the Invincible as well. It's a bit lighter, a bit more of a snappy ride. It feels like the transition is a bit faster if you are going to try and do any kind of fast runs in it, and you still have got that big layer of foam underneath, or two foams to create comfortable ride on long runs. I prefer this shoe for long runs because it is that bit more balanced than the Invincible, which can feel like it's sapping you a little bit at times with the setup of the Invincible 3, which, like I say, I do think has lost a fair bit compared to what you got from the Invincible 1 and 2, which I did feel very happy bouncing through long runs in and enjoyed going out in. And yeah, there was still those instability worries, but you got a more exciting ride in a lighter shoe than with the Invincible 3, which, yeah, I just don't really like this update all round, that's fair to say, and the Vomero 17 just feels like it provides a better option all round. There are days when the Invincible 3 will be more fun if I am feeling fresh, going for a short run, a bit more bouncy softness to it, but overall, I'd certainly feel a lot more comfortable having the Vomero in my house, ready to go for lots of easy and long runs compared to the Invincible, because there have been times where I just didn't really feel that comfortable using the Invincible 3, and I don't really find the ride that exciting as it used to be, so it doesn't really make that worry about instability worthwhile. So yeah, overall, it's easier to recommend the Vomero shoe as a shoe I think will suit more people. It's a little bit cheaper as well. The Invincible is a shoe that some people just really, really love, and it's quite a unique shoe, so I don't really feel like you can get the experience from any other shoes. If you do really love it, then the Invincible 3 is probably the way to go, but it's hard to know that before you try it. And I think it's a shoe that people will also not like at all, whereas the Vomero 17 is a shoe that's more likely just to satisfy a lot of runners because it is a nice balanced shoe with a good soft ride and a little bit of bounce there from the ZoomX foam. So that's our comparison of the Nike Vomero 17 and the Invincible 3. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Please do like, subscribe, ring the little bell, and we'll see you next time.